What is up, guys? Now, the end of the season is coming up, and I know for a lot of you guys that you're going to be trying to get that sweet border up from where you are right now. So here are 6 quick tips to climb solo queue. Now, these are going to be things that you can take all the way with you to Diamond, and they're not going to change with Season 5 either, so you can practice this stuff now in the pre-season and get a kickstart for Season 5. So let's kick this off and start logically at the beginning before the game even starts and go for picks. Now play what you are good at. Don't pick counter picks, don't pick something because it's considered overpowered, just pick what you're comfortable on and what you've practiced. I actually personally recommend lane bullies, especially at lower elos, because teams just don't know how to come back from behind and you can get ahead, stay ahead and win easy games. Now, how you snowball is going to come a little later in this video, but if you think about it, you're always going to stand more chance winning the game if you win your lane hard. Now, if you pick a late game champ, then you kind of have to rely on your team to help you get to late game, and it's never a good idea to rely on your team in solo queue. I've put some examples of lane bullies that are good right now on screen. So top we have Nara and Irelia, jungle Lee Sin and Kha'Zix, mid Syndra and Ahri, AD Corki and Lucian, and support Thresh and Leona. So tip number 2, don't duo queue unless you have a reason to do it. Now when you duo with someone, matchmaking is designed to raise or inflate your MMR to take into consideration your communication, meaning that the enemies on the enemy team are actually going to be slightly higher ranked than your teammates. Now if you have no synergy and no communication because you don't really know the person, then you're just making the game harder for yourself for no reason at all. The only times I think it's good to duo are when you play roles that affect each other, so like a jungle and a solo lane where you can gank for them, or AD carry and support where the communication actually makes a difference. Now next up is crowd control wins games. Now this is a bigger thing the lower elo you get, but it is still true at higher elos, and in general the team with more crowd control is going to have the stronger team fight. Now crowd control is the easiest way of setting up kills, which then gives you an advantage and lets you take objectives just from that. Now there are 2 things here which make this even better and aren't particularly obvious. So if you're behind but you have hard crowd control, then you can turn fights. You've all seen that wombo combo annihilate everyone, and that means you always have a chance at winning the game. The second thing is that crowd control kind of naturally works together. So when you layer something like an Orianna ultimate into a Malphite ultimate, you don't even have to use them together, but they make the effect of the other ult used even better. Now this also kind of leads on to the next point, and that's look to take objectives whenever you can, especially Baron and Dragon. Now I'm actually going to do a separate video on how to take these properly, but with Dragon you want to be taking this as early as possible. Now when I say this it's really obvious, but taking it early means you can take it again sooner and you get even more gold and the experience that it gives you as well. It's not just you either. Remember, this is a team game and your entire team is going to get the golden experience. So even if one of your teammates isn't playing that well, they're going to be more useful with more gold. So it does make a difference. In my opinion, you can't really afford to just ignore Dragon in solo queue, and you'll notice when you watch any pro stream or the LCS that they take Dragon normally before 10 minutes, and that's a lot quicker than in lower elos. So the next game you jump into, try it. Just when you get a kill bot lane or mid lane, just call for the Dragon and take it. If the enemy team do come to try and stop you, you can turn and fight, and it just nets you even more kills because they're going to be player down already. Okay, so you guys know that I don't believe in this whole just having a positive attitude wins you games, but there is one aspect of that I actually think is really important, and that's don't ever argue. Now, as soon as you argue with someone, even if you're right, you lower the chances of you winning. You aren't concentrating as much because you're frustrated at them, and they aren't going to be trying as hard because they're annoyed at you for calling them out, or they just realize that they are actually wrong and they're embarrassed, so they just stop trying. Honestly, it's really not worth the argument, and I hate to think how many games I've lost because I've pointed out someone else's mistakes and they've started crying about it, so just swallow your pride and keep your mouth shut. Okay, finally, learn to press your advantages. Now at lower elos, this is a bigger problem. I watch people and they have like 4 or 5 kills in lane and they're still just farming and not doing anything to use that lead. Now if you're ahead, get objectives, kill people, roam to other lanes. Chances are that you have one dumbass on your team who is gonna want to throw the game, so you need to end it before he gets a chance. Now a couple of examples are roaming to other lanes, diving lanes who are already behind and taking their towers, warding the jungle and killing their jungler whenever he moves around, or just grouping up and pushing towers and looking for fights. Now this last tip is the hardest to start putting into practice because you have to learn how to push your lead in the first place, so I'll probably do a video on the type of things you can do, but take those examples for now that I've given you and start to actually try and put them into your games. Well, that wraps up my 6 tips for solo queue, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, make sure you like and subscribe. It really does help me out, so thanks in advance, and I'll catch you in my next video.